Your name appears in the group chat, and before you've even read what it says, the gears start turning. What is the exact right thing to contribute here? How long is too long to wait before responding? Are you already overthinking a conversation that moved on without you? By the time you finish that mental loop, 3 people have already replied. The moment is closed. You set your phone aside, and what you feel, weirdly, is close to relief. Pop psychology usually labels this as social anxiety, or the kind of quirky introversion that gets printed on coffee mugs and tote bags. But those explanations circle the real behavior without quite landing on it. There is a specific kind of exhaustion that happens even when you spend an entire evening with people who genuinely like you. You still come home feeling completely hollowed out. The energy required to perform a heavily edited version of yourself creates the strain. The people in the room are often incidental to the sheer effort of maintaining the facade. A profound gap exists between who you are in absolute privacy and who you instantly become the exact moment an observer enters the room. This logic map visualizes a process called self-monitoring. It tracks the continuous, high-frequency process of editing and managing your social persona before any words actually leave your mouth. Socializing stops being about connection and becomes an act of intense management. You are tracking the room's tone, reading micro-expressions, and analyzing exactly how your words will land. That is a massive amount of cognitive overhead, and you are carrying that mental load while simultaneously pretending none of it is happening. After enough years of this being the baseline cost of interacting, you quietly stop choosing situations that charge that fee. It happens so gradually, you barely notice you've stopped showing up. Chronic social withdrawal occurs when the hidden costs of human connection consistently exceed your internal budget. You stop showing up because the price of entry is more than you can sustainably pay. There is another trigger for this avoidance. Through personality and past experience, some individuals develop an exhausting, hair-trigger way of reading social situations. They are trained to expect hurt. If a friend takes a full day to reply to a message, you don't casually wonder if they are busy. You instantly construct a thorough, damning narrative of rejection that feels more like a memory than speculation. Researcher John Cacioppo spent decades studying loneliness, and his findings cut against the assumption that socially avoidant people simply don't care about others. This radar shows how the nervous systems of chronically lonely people physically rewire over time. They become hypervigilant, detecting threat cues, shifts in tone, and facial expressions far faster than standard inputs. They use that detailed information to locate the exit before they ever need it. The central irony is that the individuals most associated with avoiding others are frequently the ones paying the absolute closest attention to them. The avoidance functions as a preemptive strike. The logic is airtight. It is very difficult to be rejected by someone that you never allowed close enough to hurt you. Some spend years turning this preference over, endlessly analyzing the root causes. The analysis itself becomes a trap. Introspection devolves into another intellectual excuse to stay hidden. Somewhere along the way, attention and trust stopped traveling together. When intense observation is stripped entirely of trust, the nervous system forces preemptive isolation as the only mathematically safe outcome. Most psychological frameworks treat the desire for connection and the desire for isolation as mutually exclusive states. You either want people or you don't. But the withdrawal and the longing do not cancel each other out. You can feel entirely content in your solitude while simultaneously aching for the exact people you are hiding from, often in the exact same hour. If you recognize this pattern in yourself, the avoidance was never an irrational flaw. At whatever point it started, it was a highly functional tool utilized to reduce overwhelming input. It successfully protected a fragile internal state. It kept the emotional cost of other people safely beneath a threshold you could survive. The deepest pain of this condition comes from the fact that this coexistence of longing and necessary withdrawal rarely gets named. The outside world sees the closed door, but misses the conflict behind it, leaving you completely unseen. Because this defense mechanism works to keep you safe, the hardest question to answer honestly is what it is slowly costing you along every other dimension of human experience. The avoidant mind eventually arrives at a tragic conclusion. A safe, unmonitored version of human connection is a luxury that only other people can access. But survival beliefs formed in one harsh stage of life do not automatically vanish when your environment improves. They must be actively questioned and actively dismantled. If you are looking for a tangible way out of that cycle, I have linked a 7-day emotional baseline guide in the pinned comment. It focuses on physical, concrete nervous system regulation, rather than just assigning you more endless self-reflection. Rebuilding this emotional baseline requires quiet, deliberate physical work on the nervous system. This foundation allows the possibility of finally letting the world back in.